Hey all, Heretic here today, and we're going to be talking in the Battlegrounds about heroes we should be playing that will help us climb. So in this video, we're not going to give you the absolute best heroes to play at the bleeding edge of MMR. So if you are 10k, 9k, 16k, yeah, I know, crazy, why are you here? What is this going to help you? It's not. But if you're everybody else, if you're sitting at, say, 4K, 6K, and you're having a hard time climbing and you're not really sure which heroes you should be playing, our goal today is to talk about heroes that are very consistent in what they do and are efficient at your rating. We're not going to give you really complicated heroes with crazy combos that can really big win you games. We're going to give you the heroes that are relatively simplistic and that do the job they need to do so you can get better at winning and just figuring out how to play the game. Then we'll worry about the bigger combo side pieces later. Right now, we want to work on the basics because let's face it, if you're at 4K, 5K, you're kind of struggling through some of the basics. You're not excelling. So I want to give you those heroes that are going to very consistently get you there and not worry about what Jeef's latest video shows you, this bleeding edge play that is amazing and really cannot lose, but you might not be able to execute because you just don't have the playtime that someone like that has or the ability because, face it, they live this game. You might not be able to live this game. You just want to be better. So the way we're going to be doing this is simple. There's going to be 5 tiers of heroes. There's going to be S. Now, S tier is the best. These are basically top 2 heroes, very consistent, very good, ones you always want to play. Maybe they should be nerfed. They're definitely overperforming, at least in the current meta, but there's that. Next, there's A. These are going to be heroes that consistently just top 4. Not just win games. I mean win first and second, but I mean consistently get you where you need to be for positive points. Obviously, a little overperforming also. Now, next is going to be B, and B is just, hey, these are very consistent heroes. Maybe you're finishing top 4. Maybe you're finishing 5th or 6th with these, but you're not really hemorrhaging points and you're happy whenever you're playing one of these heroes. You're not dancing happy, but you're at least feeling pretty good about them. Next would be C. Now, C, these are the heroes that will get you there potentially. May not be great, but they at least work, and you're not relatively unhappy when you're given these options. You're just not anywhere near feeling good about it. You just know they can do the job. And finally, it's just avoid. Now, these heroes may be really good at top tier. They may be crazy combo heroes that can win you every game, but you don't know how to utilize those abilities. If you don't know what to do with them, they're just gonna kind of suck. Also, they could just be heroes that just plain suck, and no one should play them at any rating. Now, as always, there's a caveat that these are, in my experience, in my opinions. Obviously, rating systems are gonna differ player to player. Someone's going to say this hero is amazing, S tier, and someone's going to say this hero is an avoid. You should never ever play him. It's all going to be based on your personal experiences. And in this case, what I'm thinking about is for a lower ranked player trying to get there. Some of these, I might not be heroes I really want to play because the people I'm fighting and the playstyles I'm fighting against. But where you are, say at 4 or 5K, these heroes will do wonders and you should be playing. First, we're starting with Terran Gorfine. Now, Gorfine is good in my opinion, going to be Undead, Beast, and Mechlon. If you can get 2 out of those 3 of those tribes, right. If you only get 1, I probably would avoid him unless the other heroes are crap, because then you have to find minions typically from that tribe for Gorfine. But if you can get 2 or haven't been 3, I'm going to say Gorfine is very consistent. I'm not going to say he's an easy top 4, but he's pretty damn close. You still got to find some right pieces and parts, but overall, consistent. Next, we've got Ragnaros. Once again, Ragnaros is one of those heroes that likes there to be lots of minions in the early game. That way they can activate their hero power. They've recently buffed him. I'm going to say, Rag, if you can get a couple of those tribes, like Beasts, Undead, maybe Pirates early for Scallywags, and Mechs also, that way you can have Divine Shields to buff. And be okay. I'm not going to say he's a void for you. I'm going to say he's not bad. He's not great, and he can definitely overperform, but he's not bad. We'll give him that. Pyramid. Pyramid is one of those heroes that it certainly can do some work in some goofy, weird builds. And he's pretty safe that you're just putting stats on the board, but his hero power doesn't do that much. And once you're past the mid game, it really does absolutely nothing. I say Pyramid is just a straight up avoid. Yeah, he can win games, but any hero can win. Rafam is actually my most played hero. Now, mind you, I've been playing since the very beginning, and I love Rafam. I think Rafam is incredibly good in certain metas. Right now, I'm going to say not insane value by any stretch. Definitely not a top tier hero for me, but he's still very consistent. So for me, Rafam, consistent, good to go. Next, we've got George, Mr. I make everything have divine shields. Hero power is a little expensive if you think about in the fact that you might not keep those minions you're buffing. But that being said, it's pretty damn simplistic. But at the same time, I don't really love it because it's not really great until late game. For me, George is an avoid. Even looking at how he performs for people at lower ranks, I think that's very consistent. Just there's a reason he has 20 armor. Voon, I'm going to just straight up tell you, if you're a newer player, if you don't play that often, I'm going to say avoid. Great hero when you know how to make him work. And if you skip it even once by accident, just because you space on it, copy a blood gem by accident, just avoid this hero until you know exactly what you're doing. Then you can get that value. Lady Vash. Now, you hit that hero power, that spellcraft you discover is permanent. Sometimes it's not something that can actually be permanent, but because of that, targeted, not overly complicated, very cheap, I say Lady Vash, not bad. Not consistent, not avoid, just not bad. Silas is a tough one. Silas, the ability to buy 3 cards, but then having to know which cards you should buy and should avoid like the plague, makes me think that if you're a lower ranked player, you should avoid this. Can you learn how to play Silas? Yes, and he can be decent. But even in the hands of a highly skilled player, sometimes the tickets suck where they're landing and or don't appear at all, making Silas something you should avoid while you're learning. Now, Toki. Let's think about Toki's hero power is a little tricky in so much that you can really optimize it to get better value out of it. That being said, it's also pretty simplistic in that you hit the button, you get higher tier minions. I'm going to say not bad. Certainly, the higher ranks you get, the more you play the game, Toki can do a lot for you. And at the early game, it's still just good because, hey, higher tier minions, there you go. Tamsin, I'm going to say avoid. Yeah, there are some fun, weird combos you can put together for Tamsin, but overall, not worth your time until you know what you're doing, and even then is usually better here. N'Zoth, you get a free minion, and then if you find death rattles, it will learn them as they die in combat. Pretty simplistic. I feel like most people can figure this out. Obviously, if you're playing it, you want at least either beast or undead, but if you have both, I'm going to say actually it's an easy, this is an A. This is an easy top 4 if you're playing N'Zoth and worth your time. Master Win, that's a tough one because the hero power is changing constantly, so there's a lot to learn with him, but at the same time, you really can get some big value and you definitely want to learn him. Now, I don't want to say he's an avoid for a lower ranked player because there's so much nuance with all the different hero powers you can get. At the same time, you have to know which ones to pick at the right time. So with that in mind, I want to say he's consistent, but for a lower ranked player who doesn't know all the ins and out of all the hero powers, you might have to sit there and take a minute to think about, oh, wait a minute, what do these do? And how can I best utilize them? And that was going to eat up into your some time into your turn. I'm going to say not bad. Personally, I'm going to put it as a B, very consistent. But for you who's trying to learn the game and get better and get more consistent showings, I'm going to say not bad. There's better out there you can take, but you also can do a lot worse. Curator, boring as hell. I mean, you get 1 minion, it's good. It, you know, it has venom. Hey, happy days. But otherwise, I'm just going to say not bad. It doesn't do anything beyond that. Like, yeah, you have the extra minion. Yeah, it can kill one thing it hits. Great. But at the same time, it's not going to win you a ton of games because people already know you're going to have it every time they fight you. You might be giving it to everyone else in the lobby as they steal copies of it off you, so it might not even be unique really for you. So, not bad. Vol'jin. Now, that one's a little tough for me because I don't really love Vol'jin. He does some fun things, don't get me wrong. I just usually better heroes for me. But if there's divine shields and you get 2 high attack minions and add those together, it is quite good in the right scenario. If you get a cleave and you give it a ton of attack, I'm going to say not bad. I'm not going to say consistent because you need the right tribes, then you need to find the right minions. I'm not going to say avoid by any stretch because it doesn't deserve that. But I'm going to say not bad. Zarek the Cloner. Now, I don't want to say he's bad because he's not, you shouldn't avoid him. No. Zarek the Cloner. I'm going to dump him right into not bad. He's not exciting. He can be a lot of fun if you triple the right card. You can copy that big mid-game minion. You can copy that triple reward for really big tempo if you hit something right. But you got to hit the right minion you want to copy also. Yeah, you could get lucky and it could be an early Defiant Shipwright that's already big. But then again, you also could get stuck in a game where you don't really find anything and he's just kind of there. So for that, I'm going to say not bad. He's got a lot of armor though, so he usually gives you the time you need to find something worth copying. The Iron Hymn is pretty easy to play, but not terribly exciting. You know, you have attack, you have health, you're adding them to your minions. You say not bad. Nothing else to say, just not bad. Illidan. He has a pretty simplistic hero power, but it is a little different that you have to remember you attack first. You have to remember it triggers before spells activate, that the other hero power might trigger before yours. There are going to be some weird interactions. Like your minions aren't going to activate until after he swings. This really could screw with you if you're not paying attention. That being said, he has a ton of armor, and after the first couple of combats, you do really kind of have this one down. You just have to remember it's there. I would say not bad. It's definitely not an avoid, because the stats it gives are very good in the early game, and he has a ton of armor, so not bad. Bran Bronzebeard. Now, okay, you know, if you're playing Bran, you want to get battle cries, so obviously you need to get them. Doesn't have the most armor, but nowhere near nothing, and his hero power is really good, because most games, what do you hear Murloc, pirates, elementals all say they're looking for? Bran. Well, if your hero power is you get Bran, so now instead of looking for Bran when you get to tier 5, you've already got Bran, which is usually a win condition. And now you're just looking for a spell to change your hero power. Because you've already got the Bran, you don't care. I'm going to assume that you get the Bran minion before you get the spell to change your hero power. That being said, Bran's a pretty damn consistent hero. I'm going to say an easy top 4. Just a solid hero that I really think it's worth your time playing, as long as there's enough battle cries in the first couple tiers, and that, you know, you have access to win conditions at the end of the game that involve battle cries. Bran's great. If not, yeah, not great if you end up playing undead. Pretty good if you end up playing Murlocs or Elementals or Pirates. Deathwing buffs your board at the start of combat and your opponents. And it's simple, but you're buffing both. True, you get it every turn, your other opponents don't, but you're only getting attack. It's kind of niche when it works. I feel like at where I play, no one uses it. And I don't really think, from one of the research I've seen, that it gets used much at lower ranks either. I'm going to say just avoid it. You can do better than this typically. It's not a not bad. You can just do better typically with almost every other hero. Maleficent Mana Storm. All right. Now, never really seen Maleficent get used much at my ranking, but that being said, it's pretty simple, right? You find mechs, they get extra attack. Really can't go wrong. Oh, most mechs have Divine Shield, or we can get it later. It's just an inherent buff whenever you summon a mech, even in combat. I'm going to say consistent, especially at the lower rank. Ton of armor. You just have to find any mech instantly a little better because of what Maleficent does. Consistent hero. Galewing. I play a lot of Galewing. I love Galewing. But if you're a lower ranked player, 6 armor is dangerous. It's hard for me to tell you to take a hero with this low armor unless it's an auto, hey, I don't have to do anything, I just cruise to the win. For that, I'm going to say not bad. I'm not going to say avoid, because I really want you to learn Galewing, but at the same time, it's pretty simplistic, at least initially. It's like, well, I get 3 flight paths, which ones do I pick? But you're probably not going to be picking perfect for a while till you've played it a bunch. I'm going to say not bad for a lower ranked player, but could be dangerous, so just keep it in mind. You have to really think about when you want those to. Jandice. Jandice is tough at a lot of ranks. Yeah, you can get some really big wins with Jandice, but Jandice is, you have to think about what minions you're swapping. You have to think about what's in the shop when you swap in case you get the wrong thing. You have to really get the gold right. Even with the armor, I'm going to say at lower ranks, just avoid Jandice. I mean, once you get there and you get some experience with the game, Jandice can be fun, but even then can be a trap because you're hunting for the right battle cry. Yeah, you get the best ones, you get the best choose cards. You really can go crazy with this. but I've seen higher ranked players get destroyed with this many times also. So Barden for me is very consistent. Not great, not insane value, but you're printing doubles. Every single time you roll, there's a pair in the shop. Pretty easy to get triples, but at the same time, you're hoping that it chooses the right card. Yeah, you could freeze the perfect shop, and if you evolve one, you could start printing crazy things early, but you have to get lucky and find them, and you have to know to do that. For that, I'm going to say not bad. I'm not going to say consistent at all for the average beginner player, because you have to know what to freeze for and when to make it work. That being said, still not bad. A lot of armor. You can make it work. Oh, Arana, I mean, you just have to have minions attack a number of times, then you get a free minion every turn that you first one you buy. So I'm very consistent. Be solid hero, well worth it. Almost an A. Just have to have the right tribes and get the right attacks, but then you also have to find the right minions. So because of that, I'm going to say very consistent. Vanderstorm Pike, I'm going to say, is just very consistent. I mean, you're wanting to use it primarily in lobbies where there's a lot of things to die. You've got Murlocs with a lot of Reborn. You've got Undead, you've got Beasts, so you certainly can buff the health on something on the back end of your board a lot. It has a ton of armor, pretty simple hero power, put minions on the board, they die, buff other things. Flurgle, I'm going to say, is also very consistent. I love him in so much that, oh, you're playing Murlocs. Well, if you're a lower ranked player, normally I would say never say I'm playing a tribe at the beginning of the game, and you still shouldn't. But that being said, with Flurgle, you just cycle cards and it gives you Murlocs. Kind of feels like an easy no-brainer. Yeah, not a habit you want to get into for other heroes, but with something like Flurgle, you can force pretty easily, especially if you have elementals, pirates in. Really can get a lot of cycling and just kind of going bonkers. So yeah, Flurgle, very consistent. Hogger's going to be another one of those heroes that I think is going to overperform a lot at lower rankings versus higher. And it does at times overperform at higher ranks pretty damn well too. So the issue with Hogger is you have to find pirates shop. Once you do, it's cycle pirates, have fun, GG. Well, lower ranked players typically tunnel more than others because, you know, rewarded when they play heroes like Hogger, and from what my research shows, they play heroes like Hogger a lot, and they really do work. So for that, I'm actually going to say Hogger pretty consistently a top 4, an easy A. Would I put him top 4 where I play? No, I'd put him more at B or C. That being said, at lower ranks, he does overperform a lot because it's, oh, I'm a pirate hero. Guess what I'm playing? Pirates. Now, I know Flurgle's very close to that, but at the same time, you might just get complete crap random Murlocs from Flurgle. With Hogger, you buy pirates, you get gold. Kind of hard to screw up. Free gold. Akazamorak. All right, I love Akazamorak. He definitely overperforms in mech lobbies. Can work in beast lobbies, undead. I mean, he can work in any lobby where you need a specific minion to die, and then it's gonna come back. Or you need Venom. So at very least, he's a free Venom a turn. So with that being said, he only has 7 armor. And yeah, there are a lot of fun trick plays you can do with Akazamorak, but if you're lower ranked, you might not know all of them. And because of that, I'm gonna say not bad. I rank him much higher in a higher rated lobby. But in a lower rated lobby where you might not know all the ins and outs, the 7 armor definitely could be a trap for you. So for me, he's a not bad. Mutanus has a ton of armor, and that's usually where I'm like, well, no matter what, he's a consistent or not bad. But Mutanus is spitting on a random minion. Yeah, you at 9k, 8k might be like, well, yeah, I play, and yeah, he lands on the worst thing possible, but it doesn't end badly. But if you're a lower ranked player, you're probably consistently still spitting while you say have a minion you want to sell on your board. And of course, it's landing now on a minion you don't care about, and you're making that mistake consistently. You don't really know all the perfect things you could be buying for it, or even the optimal. You're just kind of frustrated with Mutanus because the spitting is completely random. Yeah, sometimes you get it right and you feel great, but for the most part, you're probably more frustrated by Mutanus. So because of that, I'm going to say avoid. And to be honest with you, I avoid Mutanus most of the time anyways. Got high armor because he's just too random, and I think he's just deserves being in the avoid category. All right, Tess. Almost want to tell you to avoid Tess. The reason for that is Tess can be a trap. But at the same time, if beasts are in, I could argue, in especially in lower ranks, that Tess is S tier, right? Because, oh, I play beasts. They're really easy because I play beetles and I copy all the beetles I see and I win. But the problem is when you're not in a beetle lobby or when all of your opponents aren't playing beetles, Tess quickly falls off if you don't know when you should sell what you have and pivot to what your opponents are doing. And if you can pull that pivot off in time. Because of that, I'm going to say not bad. With the caveat being, it depends on your specific extensive knowledge of the game at the stage you're at 5, 6K. Yeah, if beetles are in, you know, hey, I buy all the beetles, yeah, I win. But if you don't know about all the other builds and all the different plays you could do, you're not going to be able to get the value you need. And you might find yourself pivoting too much with Tess. Every time you go to a new turn, you get a new opponent and they've got a new direction. You're like, oh, that's better than mine. Oh, wait, this one's better than mine. But next thing you know, you've switched so much that you're never good enough at what you're doing, or you just never find anything from your opponents. You're screwed. Because of that, I'm going to say not bad, but at the same time, really depends on the tribes and your personal knowledge of the game. Maev Shadow Song. I'm going to say for the average lower ranked player, this is an avoid. Can do some really fun things with the hero power, but really not until the late game. Start hitting those spells, you start getting the big value because, hey, look, it's a 5-6 cost spell. I'm going to get it in 2 turns for 1 gold instead. I don't know if a lower ranked player is going to be able to survive long enough to get that value out of those spells and not have them in their hand, locked and waiting to unlock when they die. Because of that, I'm going to say typically you should avoid Maev. Lich Bazil, typically to get the real value out of this hero, you need demons in just so you're not constantly cutting yourself. Yeah, at a higher rank, you know when you can easily take that damage, you know when you can cut and move things around, and it's okay. They have 18 armor for a reason. But I'm going to personally feel like a lower ranked player is going to be doing too much damage to themselves or just forcing demons who are horrifically bad right now. Because of that, I'm going to say avoid Lich Baz. Tathalon, yeah, it has 18 armor, but the 4th spell you buy being free, I don't think you're going to get value out of. It's tough enough at high ranks, low ranks, even with all that armor. I'm just going to say avoid Tathalon. Shudderwalk Dance is a very fine line because Shudderwalk is fantastic, right? Shudderwalk's ability to trigger battle cries, you can get some massive value. But Shudderwalk has 5 armor. And as a lower ranked player, that can really, really screw you. But it also can get you the biggest wins you possibly can get. I'm going to say not bad. At higher rank, I would say very consistent. At lower rank, it can be not bad. But if you don't find battle cries or know how to milk the right value out of them, you're often going to find yourself dead before you get the value out of Shudder. Brucon! I love Brucon in mech lobbies and dragon lobbies because I can just lightning off all their shields. Brucon's one of my favorite hero powers to change to, and I don't mind playing Brucon. You can certainly use some fun abilities that he has to do different things and just knock shields off. Has a lot of armor, but if you don't know all the nuanced uses, if mechs aren't in and you're like just sitting there every turn going, well, I guess I'll double attack, it's going to end up kind of being useless. I'm going to say until you know how to play him or you get in the right lobbies where he's going to give you value, I would just avoid him. Syndragosa, I don't mind when demons are good because you can buff your shop a little bit. You can do some fun shenanigans. Yeah, you can buff max. Yeah, you can freeze one specific minion or spell in the shop, but at the same time, has 18 armor for a damn good reason. Not terribly good. A fun hero I find to play it sometimes, but for the most part, avoid this. Alexstrasza. All right, I want to say A, and I want to say S. I want to say, at my rank, S. You buy this every single time. You're like, I don't care. What do I have to do to have play this hero? I play Alexstrasza. It works. If you're low ranked, you're like, oh, what do I play? Oh, Alexstrasza lets me discover a dragon. I'm a dragon hero. I guess I'm playing dragons. And I can't say this time you're wrong again, because Alex really does pivot you very well into that lane. But 7 armor. But considering how effective it's showing, even in my research at low ranks, Alexstrasza is S tier, because even with 7 armor, low rank heroes know, oh, I get to tier 4, I smash that button for 1 gold, I get dragons. Thus, Alexstrasza S tier. I want to say A because of that 7 armor, but with research, it's showing me that even at low ranks, this hero is overperforming. The Jailer! No, just avoid this. They buffed it. It's still not very good. Yes, you could show me a video where someone has popped off and destroyed a lobby with this hero. I can tell you that can happen with any hero in the right lobby with a little luck. Don't play it if you want it to win consistently. Marin the Manager. Now, I would tell you to avoid this hero if you don't have a lot of experience, if you don't know how trinkets work. But let's face it, the pick rate on this hero is stupid high because everybody wants to play trinkets even though they're not in the game. Then they complain about the trinkets they get or the results. I'm going to say not bad, but just remember that even when you have a board full of, I'm going to say Murlocs, you're not guaranteed a Murloc trinket. So don't come crying to me when it offers you all the trinkets you don't want and you play Marin. I'm going to say not bad. I like playing Marin, but you have to remember that no matter how you set it up, sometimes Marin just doesn't give you what you want. You need to learn how to make work what Marin gives you. Doc Holiday, I'm going to say not bad. Not crazy, not consistent, not a void. You can play him and he's fun, but you have to remember that his spells he gives you are random and sometimes are just crap. They're cheap, but they can be crap. Next, we've got Scabs, whose hero power lets you discover from your opponents, which can be good. But I cannot tell you the number of times I have played Scabs. My opponent has had, say, 3 or 4 tier 6 minions early. I hit that hero power and it offers me everything on his board that's crap. There's not much you could do about it. It's just discover from 2. That being said, it's a fun hero that I do enjoy. It's cheap. He has decent armor. I'm going to say not bad. Not consistent, not a void, just not bad. Next, we have the Lich King. Now, I love playing the Lich King. If you're in a beast, undead, mech lobby, great. Value through the roof. I would say, and if those 3 are in, an A. Just go nuts. If those tribes aren't in, if you say only have 1 of those 3, not bad. I mean, even if none of those in, hey, worst case scenario, you find a Leroy, you give that thing reborn, you're feeling pretty good. But you can do a lot better than him probably in that case. For that reason, I am though going to say consistent, with the caveat that you take him when the right tribes are in, or when there's just crap heroes. His hero power is targeted and very simple, pretty consistent. Chen Vala. Now I know everyone loves this hero because, well, I shouldn't say everyone, because how many times have you played Chen Vala? And I don't know, you're sitting on turn 5 and you haven't seen an elemental yet and you're cursing Chen Vala. But then conversely, there's the games where it's, oh look, elementals. And then, oh, elementals. Then, oh, elementals. Elementals that make elementals. Elementals that make more elementals. And next thing you know, you're on tier 6, it's turn 8, and you've got everything you've ever wanted and you're destroying the lobby. And Vala can do all of that. So I'm not going to say an S. I also don't want to say a B because he's not consistent. I don't want to say an A and I don't want to say a C. He could be all of these things. It depends on your luck today. Because of that, I'm going to say overall consistent. Cthulhu. I hate Cthulhu. I loved Cthulhu when he came out. I feel like he's better now than he was for a long time. And I still don't want to play him because if I don't have a Chikari Enchanter, don't like Cthulhu, and I don't want to wait till I get a tier 5 minion to ultimately not find a Chikari Enchanter and then lose, or get the Chikari Enchanter, have that thing trigger everything happily, and then die because, of course, I was so weak by the time I found it, I died. Kind of like not having a hero power in the early game. It can work in the right scenario, but it's random. Because it's random, it's not consistent. But he also has a ton of armor, and at low ranks, if you pick him, and say there's mechs, say there's pirates, you get a Defiant Shipwright, you can make him work. If you get an early Chikari Enchanter, he's insane. We get to the quest meta, you get double and a turn effects, you get the right trinket. I mean, there's all kinds of ways he can be really good. I want to tell you to avoid him at all costs. I'm going to tell you, even though this hurts, for me, at low ranks, he's probably not bad. least that's what the data show. Jiraxis, you already know I'm going to put him in what? SAB? He's a tribe hero. He's demon based. He takes a minion on your board. He has it eat something in the shop, so he's automatically buffing something you want targeted. In theory, he sounds great. He's got 19 armor. He's a tank. He's ready to go. You face the Lord of the Burning Legion, right? You're screwed. Except you should avoid him at all costs because he sucks. It's 1 gold to eat a random minion in the shop that, yeah, you might have a 10-10 in the shop he eats. There also might be a 1-1 it eats. So not very good. And guess what? Minions of 10-10 stats don't happen in the early game. They don't happen until much later in the game. That makes Jiraxis not terribly good. Maybe if you add an extra 10 to his armor, I'm liking him. But otherwise, I'm probably passing on the Lord of the Burning Legion. Avoid him. Rakinishu, high armor, gives you spells, avoid them. They're good later in the game, kinda. With the right build, they certainly can do some fun things. Demons, mechs, you can have fun with them, but that being said, you usually can
Do better.
Sneed! Oh, it's easy, right? I target a minion, it summons out things of lower tier. That's not bad, right? Well, yeah, I mean, you get to tier 6, maybe it starts cycling out average Leroy's when you get lucky, but probably not. Probably gives you garbage. So because of that, avoid him. 20 armor for a reason. Random results. Yes, you could show me a video where everything that popped out was the best minion ever, and I can show you a lot of non-videos that never got made because you finished 8th because it popped out the worst thing ever. Aerial of Rome. Avoid it. Don't bother. It's random depending how many minions you have on the board. You have to really calculate which buffs you want in what order. I don't like Cariel at all, and I think for the most part at every rank, just avoid it. Blackthorn, it's a tribal hero. It gives you blood gems, should be good, but oddly enough, it's best when you're playing Naga because you're buffing your spells with spells you're generating. When you're playing Quillbore, it's only good if you find ways to buff your blood gems. So because of that, Blackthorn, avoid. Patchwork. I don't mind playing Patchwork at all at higher ranks. At low ranks, if you're not good at tiering fast, I feel like Patchwork is going to be a massive trap for you, and you're going to end up just going, well, I have health, but I never really get good minions, so I die. The idea with Patchwork is you can tier more aggressively because you have extra health to find the builds you want to build to win, but I'm going to say avoid them. Not worth your time. Galakrond. Now, for me, Galakrond is an A. I love Galakrond. I want to play him all the time. I want to go right for a tier 6 minion, hero powering right away on turn 1, and I love him. That being said, there are lobbies where I won't pick him. Really depends what tribes are in, if there are some decent tier 6 minions in there that are worth my time. For you, I'm going to say not bad. If you play him, just understand you're going to lose in the early game a bit. You're going to find that tier 6, and you're either going to sink or you're going to swim. Reno Jackson. This is a hero that everybody loves. For the most part. Personally, I don't like Reno. I find that, yes, the ability to make that amazing minion golden is second to nothing. I got a brand, bam, golden brand. Good to go. How many people do you know, though, triple into a, say, a 5 or a 4 and find garbage? They're sitting there with a hero power they really want to use. Can't. But that being said, I've seen the pick rates. Everybody at every rank wants to play Reno Jackson. So I'm going to say, not bad, because I know you're going to pick it regardless of what I say. And when I put it in a void, you're going to be like, but Heretic, you're not putting him in the right spot. He's clearly B or A. And I'm like, not bad. And if you're honest with yourself, I know where he should be. Thorum. For me, you should avoid him at all costs. The data and letting that influence me a little bit for lower ranked players and where you're at shows that people love to pick him, but he also doesn't really perform terribly well. So while I know you want him ranked higher, I'm still going to tell you to avoid Thorum. The hero power you don't have until you get to the later game is a problem. Lord Barov. For me, personally, I would say an A, maybe a B, but realistically a C. For lower ranked players, you need to learn how to scout or have a deck tracker or both. And you really need to get used to figuring out what people can have, because otherwise you're just wasting gold every turn. Once you figured it out, it goes up dramatically. But if you're not playing very often the game to begin with, and you're kind of working on those base skills, you probably haven't played enough for Barov to really shine for you. And again, maybe you're just really good at guessing. There you go. You get a 50-50 every time. Rukara has high armor, relatively easy hero power, but at the same time, not performing well for anybody at any rank. Yeah, you could show me people who've won with him. Maybe there's a couple people who consistently do well with Rukara, but I don't love them. For that reason, I'm going to tell you should probably avoid them. Maybe you're one of the people who can make them work every time, and if so, congratulations, but even I don't love playing Rukara really ever. Akla. All right, how do we feel about this hero? I mean, I personally despise him. Now you're going to say, but you get 2 bananas a turn. It's 2 spells. They're great for a lot of reasons, Heretic. Play Makla. And I'm going to tell you, okay, you're playing Naga. Yeah, you've got bananas. Yeah, you're really buffing yourself. You're doing. What if you don't find those Naga in that lobby? What if your opponents do? You are feeding them spells, them buffs. Yeah, you still get yours, but you're making them get exponentially better while you are moving along. I don't like the idea of buffing my opponents, even if potentially I'm doing better. But what if every time you get 2 bananas, even though you're supposed to get a higher rate, you just get little bananas, but your opponent keeps getting big bananas? It doesn't math out in a way I love. So for that, I'm going to say, and I'm going to encourage everybody to avoid Mukla so you can stop feeding your opponents. Raybo is an easy A, I say. Obviously, you're playing him if you have like pirates, undead, beasts in, because a million taunts that are spawning as you die typically is a wonderful thing with those tribes, so your Titus can't get sniped. Whatever key minion you need is safe in the background. Because of that, an easy top 4, take the A, play Greybow. Millhouse Manastorm, one of my favorite heroes to play. I would happily, especially at elemental lobbies, put him as an A. For you at low rank, where you're not used to spending money additionally to tier, if you're not used to spending extra money to roll, and then the minions costing 2 gold actively confuses you, you found yourself constantly going, shit, I had more gold than I thought I did, or I rolled and I realized I spent all my gold in the roll and now I'm screwed. Millhouse, I'm going to tell you to avoid. Millhouse is a very good hero and can definitely overperform, but you need to learn how to do that. So you got 2 options with Millhouse. You either avoid him or you get good. ETC, one of the heroes I love playing. I will play ETC often. I don't mind at all playing ETC. The issue is if you're a low rank player, if you don't play very much, you probably don't know enough of the buddies. And every time you hit discover a buddy, you're kind of sitting there going, what does this do? And you're having to analyze it, and you're finding that in that time, you're wasting a lot of your turn. Until you know enough about the game or can see it consistently, I would say avoid ETC, because he can be kind of complicated to play if you don't have that advanced knowledge of the buddy pool. Ozumat, I'm going to say you probably should just avoid. I mean, he's an extra minion. If you have 7 on the board, he becomes an 8th. He really feels like he should overperform, but in reality, and looking at the data and my experience playing him, he doesn't. And if you're trying to climb, unless you are really good at cycling a ton of cards, he's not really going to do much for you. That being said, I would probably avoid Ozumat unless you're really good at him in particular. And Hanso Meccano. I mean, I like playing him. He consistently does very well for me. There's been times where I hated him. My first use case of him, I was playing a Leapfrog board way back when he first came out, and the first thing he offered me was a taunted Titus Rivendare. So yeah, that was before spells too. So there was no way to remove that taunt. It was just there forever. So yeah, we didn't buy that one and we lost that game. That made me hate him and not want to play him for a long time. I swung back around on him. I like him. He does give you the added value of a random mechanic appearing in the shop on minions it shouldn't often appear on. That can be really good. It can be really bad. That being said, and looking at my opinion is he's a B or even a C at worst, but he doesn't really seem to perform for lower ranked players well, no matter how I do research and where I look. So while I feel like he is better, all the data says, even though I want to rank him higher for lower ranked players, he does not work. Cookie the Cook. I love Cookie. I play Cookie most of the time. Cookie's only issue is 7 armor, and they're 7 armor because you really can tunnel in. I'm going to say Cookie is incredibly consistent. That 7 armor for a lower ranked player makes me a little nervous. That being said, if beasts are in, I would say it catapults him to an easy A. Like, you just jump up there and you're like, you're top 4, and because you just keep eating beasts and look, you're beetles, go, have fun. I'm going to say a B, but that being said, if beasts are in, it can become an A really fast. Balin, I play him all the time. That being said, at lower rank, people tend to tier slower. So if you're not getting to tier 4 to say turn 8, maybe 9, I've seen it, then that's not really going to work for you because you're not getting value out of his hero power. So I'm going to say avoid him. Now, if you are really skilled at tiering fast, maybe too fast, Balin can do better for you because you're going to get access to those better minions faster and you already know what you're getting because you picked them. But you got to be that rare unicorn that knows how to tier fast but isn't terribly great at the game, only because you know what you're getting in this regard. Rat King, he's kind of in a sweet spot. For me, he's an A. For you at lower rank, he's a C. And the reason for that is 8 armor, and you don't know what tribe's coming up next. You can't really push yourself into the lane you want to be. You're going to be in whatever the hell shows up. And if it's the right thing, he's great. But if it's the wrong thing, you're in trouble. Ticketus. Once again, for me, this is kind of an A hero, but for lower ranked players, especially if you're not familiar with the tickets, I'm going to say a C, not bad. Has decent armor. Hero power is going to activate every 4 turns, but you're not seeing turn 12. Definitely not getting the bulk of the value from Ticketus. And like all Ticketus players on turn 8, you're desperately hoping to see the reduce the cost of tier by 5. Otherwise, yeah, I do like him, but I can understand why you wouldn't love him. Snake Eyes is a hero that everyone loves to play, but at the same time, Snake Eyes' results of their games is wildly all over the place because, well, they have no armor, essentially. At 5, they're kind of naked and afraid in the battlefield, so if they get hit early, do a lot of damage. Same time, if you roll really high early, you can really tier up faster and get better minions in quantity and get a big win. I'm going to say Snake Eyes is not bad. I rank them higher personally when I'm playing them at my rank, but at your rank, you can see where you could be frustrated with the random rolls and maybe just not want to deal with it. That's completely understandable. That being said, Snake Eyes is a pretty damn good hero once you get used to when to roll and sometimes maybe when not to roll, and just change that hero power as soon as you get to the higher tiers once you've rolled like a big roll. AFK is something you should avoid. Their hero power is you discover 2 tier 3s. Yeah, sometimes they're amazing and you get off to an early lead, but most of the time it doesn't work out. Don't waste your time. Sire Denathrius is hard to say, right? Turn 1, you know what your quest is going to be, so you have an idea of what you could shoot for. But at the same time, is that quest good, the rewards, and are they doable? Doesn't always line up. Sometimes you get a crazy good reward that's not doable in a reasonable amount of time. Or you only get offered a very doable quest, but the reward is kind of crap, especially with the tribes in for what's being offered. Sometimes they just don't sync up at all. Those games, he's horrific. Other times, so good, you destroy the lobby blindfolded. That being said, you have to have a little game knowledge on how to make it work. But once you do and you figure it out and you're nimble enough, I'm going to say more often than not, it's consistent. Because on turn 1, especially as a low-ranked player, you know exactly what you need to do to get that quest reward, which is either going to give you an automatic, this is what I'm playing, or going to give you so much economy, it allows you to go for whatever you want. So Sire, I'm going to say very consistent overall. Sometimes can be inconsistent, don't get me wrong, but overall, I'm going to say consistent. Dancing Daryl, I'm going to say not bad. Now, if you get stuck in a full APM game, the animations for this are a absolute killer of your time. But if you get into any kind of cycling, especially at a low rank, all you have to do is play cards to get value. Like, oh, I play a minion, it gets bigger. Oh, I sell that minion, those stats, extra ones jump onto other minions. Pretty simple. You can't really go wrong with Dancing Daryl. Queen Ashara. Well, once you get that attack up there, Queen Ashara, for me, especially at low rank, this is just a top 2 situation hero. Like, you just start spamming Naga shit and you go nuts. I feel like Ashara is incredibly consistent. Easily a top 2 hero, especially at lower rank. Where once you hit the right things, you just go. You don't need to, you can stay at tier 2. People do it consistently and win lobbies. That being said, you really should be going for the higher tier build with this, but it does win. And I feel like Ashara is simple as you can get. Oh, I buy anything I want, I get high attack. Oh look, now I'm rewarded with Naga. GG. Edwin Van Cleef. At high ranks, complete garbage. At low ranks, shockingly enough, not bad, because you just have to cycle a couple cards and then buff things. That being said, I don't want to call it consistent. I won't play it. But at low ranks, it does seem to be overperforming. When I look at the data, I can look at this and go, it's doing better than a lot of heroes. I don't want to play it, but it is. So for that, I'm going to put it as not bad. Results may vary. Right tribes are in, Divine Shield, Big Cleaves. You can get big rewards for this hero. But it seems to be working. So hey, if it's offered. Heist Baron for me is an A. Just straight up, throw it out there, go nuts at my rank. But that's because I'm tiering to 3 and then 4, usually pretty aggressive to then hero power, so I can steal a tier 4 shop, if I can help it. That being said, at lower tier where you're not tiering as fast, it probably isn't going to be as good. It may feel fun when you get a shop full of tier 2 minions, but that really where he's going to shine? No, it's at 3 and 4, and then later 5s and 6s. That being said, he does have a pretty high pick rate, even at low ranks. So I'm going to say B, consistent. I understand at low ranks, they're definitely getting lower tier minions, but that's not bad because at least you already understand how to make him work. Now just get to that higher tier and really milk him for the big value, and you're really going to see him shine. Sylvanas at any rank, even with all the armor, is a void. Yes, you buff your board with a lot of stats. There's a but, though, at the end of that. But their minions usually don't care about till the later game. And then those stats don't matter. You're buffing him with, I don't know, it just doesn't feel good, and it doesn't perform very well overall at any ranking. So Sylvanas, I would avoid. Sir Finlay Muggleton, probably, yeah, any rank, consistent. And why do I say consistent? Well, because you're not offered any good hero. At least Sir Finlay gives you a couple more chances to get a better hero. Play Sir Finlay. Alakir really does not perform well at lower ranks, surprisingly enough. At higher ranks, I'm not excited to play Alakir, but they can work. You get in Beast, you get in Dragon lobbies, you can do some fun things with Alakir. Maybe you get a giant blade collector and you just sit there letting it swing out, and hopefully it doesn't get Leroyed before it does anything. It can work, but I'm going to say looking at the data, it's not an avoid because it's pretty simple to play. People seem to avoid Alakir. I'm going to say not bad. At my rank, I'll take it. I'll happily take it as a B. But that being said, there's usually other heroes I'd rather take. Onyxia. Well, you summon out random dragons, you throw at your opponents. It's not bad. It also depends heavily on the tribes, right? Are undead beast in? Yeah, you could throw more 3/1s at people. Will that make a difference in the early game? A little bit, yeah. Late game, it falls off quite a bit. Are you playing Overflow? There's some potential there, maybe some avenge mechanics. It can work. I'm going to say not bad, if anything, just because you're generating 3/1 minions and then you have a 20 stat of armor. There's a reason you have 20 armor, though, because it's not terribly good, but it's also not that bad. It's just usually better off. Wag toggles. No one wants to play this hero anywhere. It's kind of boring. Yeah, you get some stats. They don't stick around, and it's kind of meh. Don't play wag toggles. Just avoid. Patches, I'll play. I enjoy playing patches. It's like, oh, I guess I'll be the pirate hero. It's time to let my brain coast along. Won't surprise you, but another one of these tribe heroes that performs better, especially at lower MMR, where it's got an incredibly high pick rate and an incredibly high placement rate. Because of that, Patches is S tier. You want to play Patches in most lobbies just because it's pretty easy what you're going to do. Probably going to end up playing pirates. Have fun. Kurtrus is a hero I don't mind playing, but I also don't love playing. And you have to be good at cycling cards and have the right tribes in. You need to have elementals or pirates or murlocs and be able to cycle a lot to get value out of Kurtrus. For the most part, their hero power is not going to do much at lower ranks if you don't know how to maximize that value. Even at higher ranks, sometimes you just don't find anything to work with. Because of that, I'm going to say avoid Kurtrus. You can probably find better. Nobundu, I enjoy playing. There's a lot of heroes I'll take over Nobundu, but if it's an elemental lobby, if there's nothing else I find exciting, I'll happily play. That being said, I would say even at low ranks, it's not bad. Just keep in mind what spell is active when you use that hero power, so you get the right one and not that you just bought a coin. Definitely waste this hero power. Eudora, I'm going to say Eudora, even at lower ranks, probably pretty consistent. The data, it's kind of iffy on where we would want to put it based on the results of those games. That being said, Eudora is, hey, I slam my hero power 4 times and I get a golden minion and then a triple reward. It's pretty easy. It's basics, Battleground 101. I get triple, I win, or oh, I whiffed, I lose. That being said, the gold minion you get is completely random also, so there's that randomness also put in. I'm going to say consistent, even though the results do vary. Nas Dormu, I'm going to put it in not bad. It's basically you get a free roll every turn, and certainly interesting in so much that sometimes you have a crap shop to start, and now for free you get a roll, but that's your entire hero power, so sometimes that's great. The rest of the time it's just kind of meh. Drekthar, some of your minions die, and then your minions get a +1 attack permanently. Honestly, I avoid this hero, but at low ranks it performs pretty consistently, and it's simple. Because of that, I'm going to say for climbing purposes, looking at the data, it's not bad. It's almost avoid. And if you suddenly hit 7k, you probably have learned to avoid it by then. But for the purposes of climbing, it can work. Yogg Saron really surprised me when I was looking at the data for this hero. I like to play Yogg. I find he's very consistent because he gives you a decent edge in the early game. And then late game, you just change hero powers. You don't really care. But when I looked at the data for lower rank players, those who pick him, he does not do very well. He kind of underperforms dramatically. I don't know if it's because they just keep using that hero power regardless of even when it's late game, like turn 10, they just still slamming it no matter what. I mean, yeah, I understand it might not be a hero power, but you could just stop using it. That being said, he really underperforms at low rank, so I'm going to say avoid him. Oddly enough, he performs much better consistently, almost a full rank. So like instead of hitting 4.5, he finishes at like 4.1, almost 4 flat at high ranks. That's a big difference in ranking, but for some reason at low ranks, he just doesn't perform. Malagos, oddly enough, does not perform typically well either. Decently high armor, lets you try to find better minions of the same tier. It's random as hell. That's probably what gets most people. So even though I don't mind it, and personally, I've kind of put it at C, I think for low ranks, if you're trying to climb, this looks like an avoid. Kilthas, they buffed him recently. Still not exciting, still not great. I'm going to say just avoid Kilthas. Just doesn't feel great. It's kind of a win more hero. His hero power gets better as the game goes on. But at the same time, that means by the time you're getting the good value out of his hero power, you're already winning? Doesn't really feel good. Elise, I find to be a very good hero at higher ranks. I mean, not an auto pick by any stretch, but a nice solid hero, at least not bad. But especially when I look at the data for lower ranks, it really underperforms. Now, I think that has to be the fact that people tend to tier slower and use the hero power more looking at the data. Thus, you're just getting low tier minions, which kind of suck. If you're using this on turn 1, turn 3, you're not getting great minions. Yeah, there are times when that build can work, but typically you'd rather be using this at tier 3 and 4, not at tier 1 and 2. Because of that, I'm going to say avoid. If you're good at tiering and using it at higher tiers, it gets much better though. So if you can get there, that's the way to get better. Use this later, not earlier. Bigglesworth, avoid it at any rank. Bigglesworth sounds fun. Yeah, when people die, I get to discover a minion. It could be a gold minion. It'll have all the stats. Woohoo! Problem is you have no hero power and you need people with hero powers to die first. And if you can't figure out where the problem is in that equation, I can't help you. Zarella can be a decent hero. The fact that you can get minions cheaper, that you don't care about their stats when you're buying Battlecry minions and all that, definitely makes Zarella work. But That low armor, and for low rank players not knowing where the optimal time to use it, makes it an avoid. Just stay away from it. Omu is a weird one. Omu has a really high pick rate at low ranks, but also really underperforms pretty badly. Because Omu wants you to tier, and low rank players don't want to tier as fast. So they're not really capitalizing on that hero power. Or maybe this is the time where they're just constantly tiering, but then they don't know what to do and they just keep tiering. So for whatever reason, Omu typically is not very good. I'm going to, though, still put it at not bad because it's encouraging you to tier, which you need to do to get better at the game. Just might punish you because you're not used to when you should stop to start buying minions. It's really definitely an acquired skill when you're just tiering really aggressively. You're like, oh, I just want to keep going and going. It's like, well, maybe now you need to slow down because you don't have much armor. You need to get good minions also. That being said, Omu, I think at least not bad, and at the higher ranks, much better. Murloc Homes, I adore, especially in Naga lobbies. Murloc can great things. You can tier faster with Murloc Homes. You just have more economy. That being said, if you don't know the tricks, say the red herrings of this hero, you might have some problems playing it. I'm going to put it at not bad. To be honest with you, though, personally, I'm putting it more at B for consistent, especially in Naga lobbies. Hell, at Naga lobbies, I might kick it up to an A, but still at least a B all the time. Hook Tusk, I really enjoy playing. I feel like right now, Hook Tusk isn't a shining example of what you want to be playing. That being said, Hook Tusk still is very good. I'm going to put it at not bad, though. Later, as you play more and more, you'll figure out where it really can shine. In the specific vanilla meta, it's not the best, but there are specialty ones where it can be very good. Tavish Stormpike, avoid him. Even at high ranks, he's kind of annoying to play. There are endgame points where he can be really good and useless. And it really depends on your skill level and what your opponent's up to. I would just say overall, learn to avoid Tavish no matter what your rank is, though. Guff, I'm going to say, is consistent. No matter what your rank, very, very consistent. It's, oh, I buy minions. Whoops, I got a triple. How'd I get that triple? Even someone who doesn't really know what they're doing will buy minions and spells and suddenly find themselves with free triples and not know how they got it, but be able to take advantage of them. So playing Guff is just very consistently good. If you want to climb, Guff is a great hero. Sourfang, avoid them. I mean, I have a soft spot for his buddy, and I want to play Sourfang for his buddy. He has high armor. He's very simple in what he does. That being said, he doesn't really consistently perform as much as I want him to. Ysera is a hero I avoid at all costs. I don't really love the way their hero power works. When, you know, tier 1 dragons are great, they're insane. But when tier 1 dragons are not great, they are not insane because mostly your shops are filled with tier 1 dragons, which are kind of annoying. That being said, at lower ranks, it's a little more consistent because, hey, I want to play dragons because I'm a dragon hero. The game's like, here's a dragon every time you hit refresh. So for that reason, I'll say not bad. Not great, not consistent, but not bad. Ysarge, I love playing Ysarge. I feel like they're a great hero. They buy armor, their economy is good. Yeah, you're getting random minions, but it's like turn 1, you can buy a spell, hero power. Turn 3, you get to buy a minion, hero power. You could tier, then sell a minion, and all of a sudden get a free minion. Well, get a minion for 2 gold, but still a minion you shouldn't have, and it'll be of the tier you just went to. I love Ysarge, and yeah, like turn 6 to 8, you stop hero power and you start buying consistent stuff. But in the early game, I love it. That being said, looking at the data for low rank, it does not perform well. I think that has to be because they're just hero powering the entire game constantly. That's why it's not performing well. But that being said, sadly, I have to put it under avoid. If you can learn to not consistently hero power, this will go up to, I feel, a solid B for you. But if you just hero power the entire game, yeah, you shot yourself clearly in the foot. Exarch Othar, I'm going to say not bad. Not insane, but not bad. Basically, it's a free gold every turn. And if you wait a little while, you can get a spell for free, especially at the higher cost spells. Just keep in mind what you're using to use this every turn. That way you don't waste it. Sky Captain Crag, especially at lower ranks, avoid this. A one-shot hero power. You're not tiering very aggressively. you're not really going to get a whole lot of value out of this because you're going to hero power, you're going to be buying tier 3 minions, and you're going to be like, this kind of sucks. Realistically, you want to be using this so you can go to 4, hero power, go to 5, buy good things, or, go to 5, hero power, and then start buying a bunch of stuff. It all depends how strong you are and in your particular lobby, but for the most part, this is a void. Lower ranked players. Professor Putricide, unfortunately, isn't a void. It is a tribal hero. It lets you discover and craft your own minion, but it's expensive. You want to be using it a little later, at least tier 3 and 4, and it feels like with the results looking at the data from everything, it does not perform well at lower ranks. Again, at higher ranks, it's a little inconsistent too. Just avoid them. Zephyrus, I'm going to say just avoid them. I don't really love Zeph. Their hero power, it can be very powerful if you get lucky, but typically just taking crap and making it golden and then hoping for a triple, which that's the game, right? We're taking triples and we're hoping they're good, but it feels not great for use of hero power. He's got high armor for a reason, and that's because the results typically aren't that good. Fortunate. Any Storm Coil. How do you know Heretic has a little bias in him? Well, it's because he loves Any. Now, especially at lower ranks and looking at the data, this hero really does overperform a lot. Yeah, you want to have beasts and undead in just so they can get murdered and give you free mechs for later. Yeah, it's not always going to work, but it's a lot of fun. I enjoy the randomness, has high armor, gonna give you mechs every single time. Because of that, looking at the results of the game, Any is at least an S or an A. I'm going to say S because I feel like it is very consistent, especially at lower ranks, but it is easily an A no matter what. You can't really argue, especially at lower ranks where the games are going longer, they have more time to milk out what they want. The only danger with Any is if you don't tier eventually, you're not going to get the mechs you really want. You need to get 6. That way you can start generating those free insane boom monsters. You need to be 5. That way you can get the hollow rovers. But that being said, as long as you get there relatively quick, you'll be okay. Even if it's at the slower pace of the lower ranked games, just try to get there so you can make the good stuff. And hey folks, that's the list. I hope you enjoyed this. I made this list because I get asked a lot in my chat, well, have you seen a tier list? And I will show them the tier list of an incredibly high ranked player. And they're like, oh, I don't really play any of those heroes, or I don't know how to play those heroes. And when you look at the data for the heroes that are played consistently at lower ranks, they tend to be more of the tribal heroes, tend to be more of the, it's not mean, just simplistic heroes, because some of the weird combo shit that the higher ranked players put together, yeah, lower ranked players will watch a video and be like, oh yeah, I see what they did there. But in the moment when they're making all the decisions, they're like, when do I tier? When do I hero power? When do I do this? They're not thinking about every nuanced build they can do. They're just trying to cobble together a win. And these heroes, I feel like, lean towards that a little bit more. We've got some of the combo crazy heroes lower down, and we've got more of the tribal simplistic heroes ranked up, because what they do is just easier in the moment when you're on I just went through a long combat turn with beasts. I've got a minute. I've got 15 gold. Oh shit, what do I do? I wanted it for them. So that's what we got. Please like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching all. I hope you had a good time. As soon as we get some new content, I'm going to be doing a lot more videos, waiting for something, a Blizzard. Thanks for watching all. Catch you in the Battlegrounds. Until then, have a good one. Later.